Yeah, hello, welcome. Here's Andre and Harish.
Hello.
And we would like to show you how you can use ABAP Cloud for developer extensibility. So let's start. We will start with a short introduction. There I will explain a little bit about ABAP Cloud. Then we will talk about today's scenario, so what you will learn here in this jumpstart session. Then I will switch over to Harish and he will then explain to you what the exercises are about. And yeah, short wrap up in the end, and you will see our email addresses if there are other questions. Oh, yeah, then let's say click once again. So introduction. What is ABAP Cloud? So ABAP Cloud is a term that's a development model. So it's how are you going to build applications with our new language version. And the good thing is what you have learned so far. So if you are an old ABAP programmer, you can still use that stuff. And ABAP Cloud, this programming model, is available with the ABAP environments in SAP BTP and S/4HANA, but also in public and private, so in public cloud and in private cloud and even on-premise as of SAP S/4HANA 2022. So this is also shown here. So we have now one ABAP development model that can be used for all the different ABAP versions that are around, whereas the classic ABAP programming model, you can only use that in private cloud editions and in on-prem editions. So if you want to stay relevant, have a look in what is coming now. And the topic of today is how to use ABAP Cloud with extensions. So if you're in the left-hand side, we see here SAP S/4HANA Cloud application. And the first way to do an extension is a side-by-side extension. Here you write a new app on a stack in SAP BTP. That can be ABAP, but it can also be CAP, for example. What's new now is that in S/4HANA Cloud systems, you can do app development, so real ABAP development on the same stack itself. So it's not a separate stack, it's the same stack. And what you can also do is you can extend apps. And these two topics, these are our today's focus. So you will learn how to consume a released API in SAP S/4HANA Cloud, or here we are, you will use a Steampunk system, so an SAP ABAP environment. And since just one developer can extend one application, you will generate your own RAP-BO that you're then going to extend. So these, again, a little bit more look into detail. So when we are consuming API, so write your own Z code, then we will use public interfaces in SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So the applications have released APIs, we can consume them, and that's the great strength of ABAP Cloud, because you restrict yourself, or you are restricted to just the released APIs. So that means if the system is being upgraded, your code will continue to run. The same is true for public interfaces that are provided by the underlying ABAP environment. So this is then called on-stack development. Either can be done by custom code by partners. The same is then of interest for partners. If they write applications in the ABAP environment, they can also make them extensible. So what's the base here is, first of all, a RAP-BO. And here we see one RAP-BO that consists out of a CDS data model underneath and so-called behavior. So these are these new language artifacts which describe what you can do with a business object. And on top of this, you have a so-called projection layer for your business service. So there you can define, okay, maybe is it still create enabled? The underlying BO can do that. Yeah. always correct me if I'm. and there will be an interface that would then be released. Then we have a so-called service definition. There you can limit the scope of your service if you want. And finally, a service binding. And that's a nice thing with the ABAP RESTful programming model. Your whole implementation does not depend on the underlying, so the protocol which is used does not depend on the underlying implementation. You can reuse the same implementation, have different service bindings like OData version 4, OData version 2, also in SQL Server binding we have now.
Web API.
Web API, yes, yeah. That's so lots of things you can do, and then this will be the first exercise. This new app on stack. So that could be either some code that we will do that here. Just write a class that consumes this API on the left-hand side, so the RAPIO. And what you could also do is you could write a projection on top of this, and then build your own OData service on top of this, and then build your own custom UI on a released API from SAP. And it's not yet there, but there will be soon a wizard for this specific use case. So in ADT that you can just click on that and you will then get this whole stack here generated. So, and that will be the main focus of today's session. We will show you how you can build extensions to a RAPIO. And extensions can be done on several layers. So on the data model layer, that would mean you would add fields, or easier thing, just change the behavior.
Extend the behavior.
Yeah. And and then you can also on the projection layer have extensions, and this is marked here as green. So yes, that and then digging now into more detail what this whole RAP business object is. So this is now more or less full-blown RAPIO, and here highlighted are new objects. And these objects are the ones that have to be added to a RAPIO, so that's of interest is for partners. So if you want to go and build a RAPIO which is extensible, for each entity you would have to add an include structure. So that's a structure where the additional fields will be defined. And then a draft query view, that's a CDS view that reads the data from the draft table of a draft-enabled RAPIO. And there will be an extension include view. This selects this additional fields from the active table, and it will also contain those additional fields you have defined in the include structure. Yes, and now we are going to extend, and that will be the second exercise. So where you extend the behavior. So that's where you write an extension to on the restricted base view level or on the seal view level, and that's the most the part that will cause the most work here. So here you would have to create all these objects here in order to extend your RAPIO if you want to add additional fields. Also here is in work a wizard that will ease your life. So you will really like to see this wizard if this is upcoming after you have went through this exercise. But on the other hand, it's good to learn what you have to do manually before starting with the wizard. With the wizard. Yeah. So now.
Then for the today's scenario, here we see the online shop. In the online shop, we can.
Zurück. Yeah.
Now, here's the online shop. In the online shop, we can order, let's say, laptop, desktop, printer, mobile phone, what we see here using the search help. Now, we can see in the basic BO that is, let's say, generated or released by SAP, we have only the fields which we see on the monitor. Now, here we see the additional fields, which are the feedback. And this is the search help. Here we see the field feedback, which is now added to this BO or to the UI using the, if we do all the steps in the exercise, we can add this field with the field extensibility. This is the feedback field. And now we can also add an action to the newly added field with this the update feedback. And here we can, this is an action with parameters where we can write the feedback and update the feedback in the persistent table. Here we see new field, action. And if we want to just, let's say, extend the existing BO, not with field extensibility, then we have a behavior definition. We extend it with a behavior extension, and the behavior extension just says if the delivery date, what we see in one of the fields, if the delivery date is initial, then the order cannot be processed. Then this validation checks whether it is initial or not. Only when it is filled with a valid delivery date, then the order will be processed or created. Now I think I can go to the
left-hand part. Yeah.
Now we see the solution packages. This we have uploaded into the trial systems just for your easy to use accessibility. Here you can see the 630 Soul solutions. All the solutions of the ready-made BO are there. This is the BO, let's say, released by us or from SAP, the basic BO. And then we have the extensions. Here we have the behavior extensions where we add the new validation determination, which is a calculation, for example, on the extended BO. Then we have the second part or the third part of the exercise, which is field extensibility. So we add a structure which contains the field feedback. Then we propagate the field from the structure to the database table to the to projection view, and have a metadata extension where we can see the field as seen previously on the UI. And this part is the field extensibility, and this part is the behavior extensibility, and you have both the packages.
Yeah. So if you want to have a sneak preview how it should look like, or you just want to try it out, you can do so.
Yeah, if you want to just use and see how it looks like before you start the exercises, just go to this service binding here, just click on it. You will have the same UI with the field feedback, the action to update the field, and the validations which are already inbuilt.
Good.
Now we can go to the next slide. So then for the exercises, what will be on offer today? Initially, you will generate your own extensible BO, which will be used for the field extensibility and behavior extensibility. So this is a class, JDMO gen wrap single. You just click F9 and you have the following packages based on your group number or your participant number, for example. And then we can say we can use the ABAP Cloud for developer extensibility. So we have the two objects or the two packages. Then here are the hands-on exercises, the GitHub repository where all the hands-on exercises are there. The first step is to access the exercises naturally. Then the second step is to set up your development environment with Eclipse, the trial user, create a cloud project, etc. Of course, you can move at your own speed because this is a jumpstart session. Then feel free to ask questions via GitHub issues naturally. And then just an overview of what will be on offer today or in this exercise. So step-by-step instructions are in GitHub already. Getting started. And the second exercise is to consume a released wrap BO, which means, let's say we take a business object like iBank TP and generate or create a new bank based on that released business object or API. Then the second exercise is to use our generated BO, extend the behavior with determinations, validations. Then the third exercise is to extend the data model with additional field or field extensibility. And the fourth exercise is to add an action, update feedback to update or fill this newly created field. And in the this picture, you can see exercise 2 behavior extension. These are all the views, CDS views that are objects that are generated with the generator. Then we have the in red, what you need to add for field extensibility and behavior extensibility.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's important. Always you see those hashtags in the text. So and in the console window you will see that suffix. So you maybe write it down or immediately add those packages to your favorites. So we'll just show you how is that done. So this is how you work with issues. So those that are not so familiar with GitHub, so on this there is a tab called Issues. So there you can place your questions. Good. So maybe we have a little bit time. So maybe just a summary. So the key takeaways. This is the new programming model, right? That which is behind this is this ABAP RESTful, and let's maybe switch to Eclipse. So here we will later show this via, as long as the questions are there, maybe we switch to Eclipse and have a short look at the project, right? So here these are this would be here the result of a generation, and these are the generated objects as we have seen. And if you double click on here, that's the preview you will see before it's going to extend it. And maybe Harish, show what here is what we have added there.
And here we see already the field update feedback. Let's say now we create, maybe just from the value help we select something, a printer.
And you see here that was a side effect. So something we could have added this via additional binding as well, but here we want to concentrate on.
Here I left the delivery date initial, so the delivery date cannot be initial. Let's just quickly fill it. Then say create. We have an order. Go. Now for this order 5, we can update the feedback. Update feedback. And now we can check. Here we have the feedback.
Yeah.
So this is the third exercise of field extensibility. Now there was a question, where do we find all the released BOs? Here we can quickly go into ADT.
Yeah, that was from Deep Agarbal.
Here you can see in ADT released objects. These are all the objects, CDS views, views, read-only views, behavior definitions, or APIs which are used in cloud development or which can be used to extend. Maybe we can just
maybe scroll, maybe expand to the behavior definitions. So, but that you're not disappointed here, right? Because this is a steampunk system, so there are not many released RAP BOs there, right? So in a S/4HANA Cloud system, there you will find much more of them. Okay, then a question from Brian Wills. So the session material link is incorrect, and okay, there is a D underneath. Oh, thank you for the hint. So then we would have to remove that. And the third question, how can we connect to the S/4HANA trial account system to ADT? So so we have
Live Q&A.
hello. Now we are live in Q&A.
Okay, we start already. So we have to show them how they can get access to that system. So these are the trial systems. So you just get a trial account in SAP BTP. It's also described in the getting started section of that of the script, and then you create
new cloud project and connect. In ADT, you can create a new project. Everything is provided in detail in the GitHub repository. So kindly look into it, and then you can consume these sample packages to you.
Maybe answer another one, and I will open the script then. So
Okay. Then there is a question from Christian Niklas. Can a partner also create wrap objects which customer could extend in a whitelisted way? Which means use all extensibility options. Yes. Let's say if you are a partner, you can create, let's say based on as an example, this tutorial or exercise, you can create your own API, release it with C0 release, for example, and then it is a released API. This API can be used by a customer, and the customer can extend this API like a SAP business object sales order, which is extensible, which can be extended in the same way. A partner built API, released API can also be extended by the customer in a whitelisted way with the ABAP Cloud compatible way. So a question from Shyam, which I think is mostly popular. Are standard wrap BOs available on-prem as well? How to identify this FEOE app if it is wrap based? So the standard wrap BOs are also available on-prem because now from 2202 we have developer extensibility.
Such information you would find in the API hub. So what is behind those stuff?
In API hub, you can find all the released BOs and on which environment these released BOs are available, and whether a standard FEOE app is provided for this. And if you have a wrap BO, you can build normally a FEOE app for that wrap BO also.
The Christian, that you already answered, right? Okay, so we've still 2.5 minutes, and
a question from Mishal Bigun. What is wrap business object? Is sales order an example of wrap business object? Yes.
It's a famous one, right? So our colleagues managed now to publish VA01 as a wrap BO, and it was in the keynote. And also last year, so there are, and as you see, it's a right complex RAPIO. So they are still optimizing it, but it's a huge RAPIO. How can we connect? Okay, that we had already asked.
Question from Amit Maole. How do we get access to the presentation?
That's a good one. I will upload this here to the GitHub repo and add this as a file, and then link to it right after the session. Yeah.
Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So we really appreciate that you that you are here in our session, and maybe here as a. So if there are any questions that are that pop up later, use this issue functionality in GitHub. It's also possible maybe to
contact us,
to drop us an email. And if you want to learn more about ABAP, we can then point you here into the right direction.
We can maybe provide you the right contact. Yeah.